guys? We are back. This is the Dana White Contender Series preview on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network and the SureDog Radio Network. I am your host. My name is Keith Shillan. I'm a writer for SureDog.com. Before we get started, I just want to say I'm actually on vacation this week. I'm traveling with my family. I am in Ocean City, Maryland, enjoying the beach and the sightseeing and all that stuff. With that, I'm in a noisy hotel room. You might hear my children during this. I apologize for that. I also don't have all my equipment, so the sound quality might not be as good as I usually am able to record these. With that, I apologize right away. Let's get into it. We're into week 4 of the Contender Series. Let's recap last week. I went 3-2 on my picks. It was a good week, and that's the third week in a row. I haven't lost a week yet, but I'm still not satisfied. I think I can do much better. Let's get to the 2 ones I got wrong. Kevin Sadler really let me down. He looked terrible in his matchup against Kenny Cross. Just no lack of urgency in that fight. The other one I got wrong, Matt Dixon. He lost to Orion Kosi. The Kasi brothers, they both got wins. I did pick Luis Kasi. I think he was my underdog pick. He got a knockout. Probably my best call was Cheyenne Baez. Baez or whatever her name is. I said she was going to absolutely destroy Hillary Rose. Hillary Rose was not that good of a fighter. I got that one very well. And then the last fight was Josh Parisian beat Chad Johnson. I thought that was a fairly easy one too. So let's move on to this week. We got 5 fights. I'm going to be honest. I like one fight. The other 4 I'm not that high on. I don't think it's the best week. But, I could be wrong. Let's get into it. The very first fight, Colin Huckbotty versus Caron Bowen. Huckbotty's only 25 years old. He's 7-2. One of those losses came to Bevon Lewis, so that's not a bad loss. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. He's a student of Brock Lawson, where he trains in Minnesota, but he also spends a lot of time down in Albuquerque training with the infamous Jackson Winklejohn School. He's tall, welterweight. He stands 6'3". He's a southpaw. Though he doesn't have much confidence in his hands. And I'll get to that in a second. He keeps a very high guard, which I like. Like, he keeps his hands up very high, hides behind his elbows. But he needs to tuck his chin a little bit. He kind of keeps up in the air. He does sit on his punches when he throws, though he doesn't really generate a lot of power because he doesn't have a lot of technique. And another reason why is he doesn't really commit to his punches. He uses his punches just to close the distance where he wrestles, where he's a good wrestler. He's got some solid timing on his takedowns, though he does not set him up with his, like I said, he doesn't set him up with his strikes a lot. He can shoot from far distance, which could be a problem against someone who's a very good grappler, so we can get him in a guillotine. That's not going to be the case in this fight. When the fight hits the ground, he looks to advance to a better position, which is good. He will, he's controlling on top, and he uses a lot of heavy pressure where he'll just kind of slowly inch 1 inch at a time until he passes a guard or a half guard. He is a submission threat. He's got 5 wins by submission. His go-to submission is the head and arm choke, where 4 of them have come by that way. Though he has been swept in the past, so he isn't, this isn't Habib on top. This isn't Habib Nurmagomedov where he gets you down and the round's over. He can get swept to his back. Go to Caron Bowen. He's 26 years old. He's at 9-4 record. All 9 wins come by way of stoppage. His record's a little more impressive when you look that he lost his first 2 professional bouts. So he's gone 9-2 since. He's currently on a 7-fight win streak. Though he hasn't faced too stiff competition. Only 3 of his wins have come against guys with a winning record. I work for SureDog, so I don't know if I should mention this. His Tapology page says his foundation is whoop ass, so I thought that was kind of funny. He is a welterweight who's moving up to middleweight for this matchup. On the feet, he's flat-footed, does a lot of hand fighting, and what I mean by that is, like, he reaches for the hands, pulls down his hands, kind of parries with the hands. With like all of his striking, he comes off of that. He makes a mistake of throwing one strike at a time. Though I do like that he does target the body. He has some nice power. His best striking might be his clinch striking. Like he gets in there, landing some uppercuts, body punches. He will occasionally go for a takedown, and he has a submission rate. He has 5 submission wins. He will look for a guillotine too. I don't like that he has been taken down by low level competition. Like there was a guy that had the guy was 3-8 or something, and he took him down, was winning most of the round before he got knocked out. And of course, cardio is going to be an issue, being that he hasn't won a decision. Though he has gone to a decision, but those came in losses. Let's get to the prediction. I'm not high on either one of these guys. Both guys don't look UFC level to me. That said, I'm going to go with Huckbotty. He has a better record. He has definitely faced a better competition. He trains at a better trim, and he's also the true middleweight. I mean, the other opponent, oh God, I already forgot his name. Bowen. Bowen is moving up to middleweight. I expect Huckbotty to get a few takedowns, and then just kind of if his Bowen gets up to his feet, scrambles, he'll just be taken down again. I just kind of think rinse, repeat for all 3 rounds, takedowns, striking, throwing punches to close distance, get on the hips, take him down. Bowens has a BJJ background, so I could see him not getting submitted. And I just kind of see Huckbotty winning a unanimous decision and probably a snoozer. That's how a lot of Huckbotty's fights are. Because of that, he doesn't get a UFC contract. I'm going to kind of foreshadow the rest of the card. I'm not very confident in any of these picks. While I don't think it's the best talent, there isn't a lot of separation between the levels of talent of the fighters. And because of that, I'm not very confident in any of my picks. So with that said, I'm actually going to make this my lock of the evening, because in this fight, there is a big advantage in the wrestling department with Huckbotty. So I'm going to take this as my most confident pick, is Huckbotty winning by decision. We'll move on to Anthony Romero versus Mike Breen. If you follow my Twitter this week, you'll find out this is the fight I am looking to. This to me is the complete opposite of the last one. I think both guys are very good. I think both guys look like UFC caliber fighters. I'll start with Romero. Romero's 23 years old, very, very young. He's undefeated, 7-0. Coming out of Canada. His brother's a pro boxer. You got to like that. He's not just a physically imposing guy, but he's well-rounded. He's got good footwork, good vision, which when I talk about strikers a lot, he sees punches coming at him, and that vision leads to his good head movement. He avoids a lot of strikes with his head movement. I love that he always attacks with combinations. He has a lot of variety in strikes. I mean, whether he's working behind a jab, body kicks, he has a really nice switch kick. He's got some decent pop, but he's not like a crushing puncher, but he definitely can hurt you on the feet. Good clinch work. He's a good dirty boxer. Negatively, he can be backed up to the fence. He has a little bit of Tyron Woodley in them, where he seems like he's comfortable with his almost like his heels against the cage. Though he used it you gotta want to shoot on this guy because of how good his hands are, but he has really solid takedown defense, and he's good. He's a decent wrestler himself. He's a nice, he can kind of back up, force his opponent to press the action, and he drops in on a double leg himself. If he doesn't get the takedown off the hips, he's willing to just grind you against the fence, kind of turn you against the fence, and then eventually just lower down to a leg, like a snatch single. Good top control, and he stays busy when he's on top. He batters with some really good ground and pound. Let's go to Breen, another guy that I like. He's 31 years old. He's 8-2. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. He got a flying knee knockout in his last fight. Which was really nice. He trains at Glory MMA with James Krause. First thing that stand out to me about Breen is how calm he is on the feet. And two of the things I always talk about when I see the best strikers, the first one is what Romero has in vision, and the other thing is what Brandon has is calm. They don't panic. They're very loose. He uses feints very well. A lot of feints. He's got fast hand. A nice right hand. He really steps in and he kind of flings it. He whips it at his opponent. Works the body. Also has good head movements. He likes to attack with calf kicks. He has a quick high kick. Some of the things I don't like him, he doesn't like pressure. He likes being the one leading the dance, not the one having to counter strike. He has been cracked a lot. He can be beat up in the clinch a little bit. Though he's hard to take down. I haven't seen too much on the ground with him, but he does have good takedown defense. I'm flip-flopping on this fight. Like, this is a really tough one. Like, I talked to Sean Bitter, who has fantastic Contender Series breakdowns. If you want to check out other people's breakdowns, check out his work that he does over at Cage Side Press. He went with Breen. I'm actually going to the opposite. Like, but we both kind of felt the same way. Like, we both thought this was the best matchup of the season so far. Definitely the best matchup of the night. If this fight remains on the feet, this could be an absolute war. And that's what I'm hoping happens. However, I'm going to take Romero simply because I've seen more of his ground game than I have in Breen. And Breen is also 31, while Romero is 23. At this point in their careers, I feel like Breen is what he is, or he can make, points of improvement, but it's not going to be huge leaps and bounds of improvement. Well, Romero at 23 is at that time in your career where you can make huge improvements between these fights. So if anybody brings a new asset to their game, it probably would be Romero. This is going to be a war. This is going to be a really fun fight. I'm going to take Romero by unanimous decision, and I think the UFC is going to realize like how good these guys are, and I think they're going to reward the winner a contract. So I think not only does Romero win, but I also think he gets a contract. And he's another in line of that Canadian MMA to step into the UFC. Move on to a flyweight matchup. We have Jeffrey Molina versus Jacob Silva. Jeffrey Molina is 23 years old. He's got a 7-2 record. All 7 wins come by way of stoppage. He has a pretty padded record. He hasn't beat that well of competition, though his last win was a win over Kenny Porter, which Kenny Porter's pretty good, so that's a good win to have coming into the Contender Series. He's also a Glory MMA and fitness guy, not a great athlete. He's a southpaw, though he does like he can fight at both stances, but I think he's better than southpaw. He's a bit of an outside, out striker, like he will fight from distance. He does well to stalk his foe, but also keep his distance. Something that I don't like, he drops his hands a lot. Throws a lot of kicks, low kicks, body kicks, but he doesn't set him up a lot. He's been tagged by just, throwing naked leg kicks. Good takedowns, both from getting in on the hips or body lock takedowns. He advances position, good back control. He likes to, to scramble to secure the back. He has 4 submission wins, though. And I feel like I say this a lot with guys coming up. He can lose position looking for submission, and I don't like that. He also, he can be taken down, though I think he has pretty solid takedown defense. Moving on to Jacob Silva. Jacob Silva's a guy that he dropped his first 2 fights in his career, and he's won all the rest since. He's 6-2. He's 32 years old. He's fighting out of Houston. His own one of his losses came to Roberto Sanchez, which is not a bad, loss. Former UFC flyweight. He's kind of the opposite of his opponent Molina, where I said Molina is not a great athlete, but kind of makes up for it with technique. Silva's the opposite. Silva is like all athleticism. He's quick, light on his feet, throws combos, throws very hard, has some good power, throws a lot of hooks. Though he can make the mistake of squaring up a lot, like like I said, he's not very technical. Like he loses technique and he'll square up, which leaves him to be hurt. He's been hurt in a lot of fights, even in wins. He's been knocked down because of his lack of technique. He mixes in kicks well with his punches, which I like. Though he doesn't check kicks at all, very well or often. He's a weak wrestler, both offensively and defensively. He also makes takedowns easier because instead of sprawling out, he'll jump to a guillotine. On the ground, he's not bad off his back. He's pretty flexible. He's got good submission defense, but he also likes to play off the ground, play the jiu-jitsu game, which I don't like. So he kind of seems like a guy who spent a lot of time in the jiu-jitsu room, a lot of time boxing, but I don't know if he blends them that well. This is also a hard pick, as I'm not that impressed with either. I think both guys could be in the UFC one day, but they definitely still need some areas of improvement. Silva is definitely the better athlete, and he has faced the better competition. However, Molina is younger. As I talked about the last fight, he's also at the age where you can make big improvements between each fight. The biggest difference in this fight is I don't like Silva's takedown defense. I can see Molina getting to the fight, get to the ground several times. I think he will get the fight to the ground several times. He could get a submission, though I don't think he will. I think Silva is good enough to fight off some submissions. I mean, if Roberto Sanchez was unable to submit him, I don't know if Molina will be. And I think because of that, that'll keep Molina from getting a UFC contract. So I'll take Molina to win by unanimous decision, but also not getting a UFC contract. Moving on to the fourth fight. This is a matchup between two really experienced fighters. I was talking to someone on Twitter today. I apologize, I don't remember the guy's name, but he had some good insights on this fight. He really liked this matchup. He said that he thought, similar to how I feel about Romero or Breen, that these two guys are both UFC level. I disagree, especially about one of these guys. I'll get into in a second. But the fact that this is the guy that, like I said, I don't know who was on Twitter, but it definitely intrigued my interest a little more that somebody else saw something that I didn't see. Let's talk with Alex first. Alex is 29 years old. He's Brazilian. He's got an 8-9 record, though he is much better than his record indicates. He trains at MMA Masters. He's the current Titan FC interim lightweight champion. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's a good athlete, very fast. He has a capoeira style where he very creative. He uses like spinning attacks, flying knees. He likes to switch his stances often, which just adds to his unpredictability. He can be very aggressive at times. There's some fights where he comes out like throwing shots, like swinging, for the bleachers right away, where he darts in and out of range, landing shots, getting it back out, slinging, just throwing heavy leather. But they come in spurts, which obviously happens a lot with guys who come out so aggressive. You have to do that just to pace yourself. But he kind of has that like Yoel Romero style where like he'll tack, and then he kind of for a minute straight he won't do much. Excuse me. He throws everything hard. He has a very fast high kick. He's been rocked in the past on the feet, so I think that becomes what happens when you're so aggressive. Decent takedowns. A lot of his takedowns come from the judo. Like I was trying to see if he had a judo background. I couldn't find anything, but a lot of his takedowns are like throws. Like he'll step in and do he'll defend a takedown and he'll whizzer and hip into a whizzer, or just straight up judo throws and trips. He has a submission threat. Most of his submissions that he looks for, he's attacking the neck. He's got a couple of rear naked choke ones, but the ones I've seen, he's looking for a guillotine, he's looking for a Darce choke, he's looking for a Peruvian necktie. Like he controls the head. That's where he finds stuff. He's willing, and I feel like a broken record. I feel like I say this almost every fight. He's willing to lose position to lock on a submission. I don't like that. But when he's on his back, he's also a submission threat. Looks for leg locks. He has a good, decent sweep. But if he doesn't get those, he doesn't find an opening to scramble the feet, which is an issue. Move to Alejandro Flores. Flores is 29 years old, Mexican fighter. Combate is American veteran. He's won 6 out of the last 7 fights. He has 17-2 record. Fought some, not a lot of names on his record, but they got guys with good records. So his opponents, not cans. Watching him though, he is boring. I think out of everybody I've watched so far this season, this is the guy that's most likely to put you to sleep. It's pretty surprising being from a Mexican fighter. Mexican fighters are stereotyped to, kind of look for a brawl. This is not this guy. Not a great athlete. Definitely more technical. He's long and lengthy, throws single strikes at a time, works at a very slow pace, works off a jab, move, circle around the cage, jab. He pulls his head straight back to avoid strikes. Does well to keep his opponent at range at the end of his strikes. but he's not very threatening. Like, he doesn't hurt his opponents a lot. Throws a lot of kicks, just adds to him wanting to keep his range. Oblique kicks, kicks to the leg, body. Like I just said, he likes to do oblique kicks, occasional teep kick. Not a lot of power. He will grab the clinch if his opponent crashes the pocket, and his long length makes him difficult in the clinch. Pretty good takedown defense. Goes for takedowns himself. Occasionally get one, but he's not a very powerful wrestler. As for prediction, I don't like Flores. Like I said, he's by far the most boring guy I watched on film during his Contender Series preview, at least for this season. He definitely has an avenue to win based on his long length. If Alves can get inside, he'll be an issue. But it's going to be tough for him to get inside because Flores moves a lot and he uses his kicks a lot. That said, Alves he's creative. I mean, he'll throw a flying knee to get into range. He'll do a spinning wheel kick and follow it in. Like, also, I think his output should help him, just staying busy. He's going to look a lot better than Flores just jabbing. I think Flores is good enough where Alves won't be able to take him out, but I think Alves will get enough with either, just throwing more punches or throwing more, high quality, those oohs and ahs that you get, the spinning attacks or occasional takedown himself. I think he'll get a win. I don't know if it'll be enough to get a UFC contract. It's flyweight. That definitely leans their way. But Alves has slowed down in the past, so he might look bad in that way. I'm going to take Alves to win. I don't think it's a contract just based on the lines. He is going to be my upset specialist right now. He is a slight upset, so I do have a lock and an upset special 3 weeks in a row. And moving on to the main event, we have Giovanna Pate versus Jamie Pickett. Pickett getting his third crack on the Dana White Contender Series. We'll start with Pate. Pate, I always say his name. 29 years old. He's got a 6-3 record. He's an LFA veteran. His last fight, he beat Joseph Pfeiffer, who also fought on this season already. His 3 losses are to good fighters. I mean, he lost to Ryan Spann, Puna Soriano, and Kalen Hill. 3 guys who are already in the UFC. Though his wins, of his 6 wins, only 2 wins have come over fighters with winning records. He took 4 years off between his professional debut and his second fight. On the feet, he's kind of slow, flat-footed, lacks head movement. He does switch stances, fighting from both stances, which I like. Kind of slow-paced, similar to... who was I talking about earlier? I can't remember who I was talking about. Similar to... I apologize. Caron Bowen. He likes to hand fight, a lot of hand fighting where he's grabbing hands, using it as range finders to land punches. He's got decent power, but he's not like a crushing puncher. His straight right is his best punch when he's in the orthodox stance. I like that he goes to the party. Hard leg kicks, occasional spinning attack. But his best attribute is his clinch fighting. Like that's where he looked. That's the area that I was like, wow, this is pretty good. He grab the plum clinch, fire off knees to the body. Solid takedowns himself. It usually comes from that clinch. He'll go to a body lock, trip takedown. Decent takedown fence. His opponent, Jamie Pickett, 31 years old, 10-4 record. This is his third crack at the Contender Series. He lost to Charles Bird in 2017, though he did take that fight on like 6 days' notice. Last year, he went against Puna Soriano, who he lost to. Pickett's well-rounded, similar to his opponent. He will fight from both stances. Fast hands. He presses the action, which I like, constantly moving forward. He'll occasionally throw like a flying knee. Nice pop, but he's not I've been saying this all episode, not a one-punch power knockout guy. Good head movement, though he does get cracked hard occasionally because he's pressing the action and constantly coming forward. He hardly ever throws kicks, and he doesn't check them, which I don't like about him. he needs to lead the dance. He didn't like when he got Soriano. He didn't like being forced on his back foot, because he just didn't like the power of Soriano. Though he's a decent striker, he's probably a better grappler. I was impressed how he chain wrestles takedowns together. He has furious ground and pound. He is a submission threat. Again, I say every week, he will lose position looking for submission. And if he's stuck on bottom, he struggles to get up off his back. As for a prediction, this is another fight that I don't really like it. Both guys, they're probably, other than the Romero Breen fight, this is probably the second best fight. They're better than the rest of the competition, but they still look like very low level UFC fighters at best. Like, that's the ceiling. I guess I'll take Pickett because he's a more well-rounded fighter. I think he can get a few takedowns, and earn a decision. The UFC matchmakers has some kind of connection with Pickett. I don't understand why he's getting a third crack at UFC contracts. I don't understand. He doesn't seem like this such appealing talent. But they like him enough to give him a third shot. I want to pick him to get a contract because it is his third shot, and you think they've kind of leaning that way. But I don't think it's going to be impressive enough. I think he wins. I think it's going to be a close decision. So I'll get him to win, but I don't think he'll get a contract. So that's all 5 fights. Let's recap it real quick. Like I said, not the most exciting week. I have Colin Huckbotty over Caron Bowen by unanimous decision. That is also my lock of the night. I have Anthony Romero over Mike Breen by unanimous decision, and Anthony Romero gets a UFC contract. Jeffrey Molina over Jacob Silva by unanimous decision. That is not my upset special. Sorry. Rafael Silva over Alejandro Flores by unanimous decision. That is my upset special. And Jamie Pickett over Jonathan Pate by unanimous decision. So I only got one fighter winning a UFC contract, and that is Anthony Romero. I think last week the first week we had 3, I believe. Second week we had all 5. I think last week we had 4. This week I'm going to say is the lowest number. I think only one person gets the contract. Guys, I'll be back next week with the week 5 or previewing it. Guys, make sure you share this around, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. You can follow me on Twitter. We can talk throughout the fights, and especially next week's card. It's my Twitter handle is at Keith Shillan. That's at KeithShillanMMA. And I'll see you next week.